Hello students, how are you? I wish you are fine and doing well. Today we have two lessons. We have two short lessons. The first one is gonna be about the models for deductions, about the past. Last week we talked about models for deduction about the present, now about the past. And the second one will be indirect question. Okay, let's start with the first one. Modal verbs for deductions about the past. So, do you know how to use the modal verbs to show how certain you are about the past events? Look at these examples to see how must, might, may, could, can't, and couldn't are used in the past. For example, an earthquake that must have been terrifying. That must have been terrifying. We don't know for sure that Alex broke the coffee table. It might have been the dog. Okay? So it might have been the dog. How did she fail the exam? She can't have studied very much. Now, must have. We use must have plus past participle when we feel sure about what happened. For example, who told the newspaper about the Prime Minister's plans? It must have been someone close to him. Another example, the thief must have had a key. The door was locked and nothing was broken. Oh, good. We have got milk. You must have bought some yesterday. Might have or may have. We can use might have or may have plus past participle when we think it's possible that something happened. I think I might have left the air conditioning on. Please, can you check? May have is more formal than might have. Could have is also possible in this context, but it's less common. Can't have or couldn't have. We use can't have and couldn't have plus past participle when we think it's not possible that something happened. For example, she can't have driven there. Her car keys are still here. I thought I saw Kate this morning, but it couldn't have been her. She's in Greece this week. Okay, so this is how we use it. Now we are going to start our second part of our lesson today. It's about indirect questions. Let's get started. First, do you know what an indirect question is? For example, imagine that your friend is starting a new job today. She's traveling to work by train. She takes the train to work. When she leaves the station, her cell phone signal fails. So she asks a stranger for information. She says, "Excuse me, where is Ramkenhing Street?" In other way, "Can you tell me where Ramkenhing Street is?" You just heard a question asked in two ways. Did you hear the difference? The first one was a direct question. The second one was an indirect question. In today's lesson, we will talk about the indirect questions. What's an indirect question? Indirect questions are a more polite way to ask for information or make requests. We often use them when we are asking something of strangers or people we don't know well, including coworkers, or when we are asking for favors from friends or when we want to avoid sounding demanding. We can also use them when we make requests in English. We usually use the modal verbs like can, could, and would. We also use these modals to begin many indirect questions. Here are a few common question phrases for indirect questions. We can say, can or could you tell me? Do you know? Would you mind? Do you have any idea? And would it be possible? Forming indirect questions. To form an indirect question, we start with phrases like these. Then we add direct questions to them, but the word order changes. Listen to our earlier direct and indirect questions again. Here is the direct question. Where is Ramkenhang Street? And the indirect question, can you tell me where is Ramkenhang Street? You should notice two things about the indirect question. It begins with the phrases, can you tell me? The rest of the question, where Ramkenhang Street is, doesn't use the verb subject order of a normal question. It uses the word order of a statement and it's a noun clause. WH question words. So, to form an indirect question, again, we start with an indirect question phrase, such as, can you tell me? Then, for information requests, we add one of the 6 question words, which are where, what, when, who, why, or how. We call these WH question words. For example, you hear the word where in where Ramkenhang Street is. Can you tell me where Ramkenhang Street is? The first one, can you tell me? Indirect question phrase. And the second one, where Ramkenhang Street is, it's a noun clause. Statement, word, order. Yes, no questions. But some indirect questions don't contain WH question words. These are direct yes-no questions that we convert into indirect questions. For example, has the game started yet? That is a yes-no question. To form this into indirect question, we start with an indirect question phrase such as do you know, and then begin the noun phrase with if or with whether. Let's look at this example. Let's listen to the direct yes no question again. Has the game started yet? This example uses the present perfect verb has started. Now let's listen to how it changes into an indirect question using if or whether. For example, do you know if the game has started yet? Or do you know whether the game has started yet? You'll notice that in the indirect example, the has from the verb is no longer separated by the subject, like in question word order. Instead, it appears together as it would be in a statement. Here's another example of a yes-no question. The direct question uses the present continuous verb are coming. Are they coming with us? So in the indirect question, the word are coming go together and we use if or whether. Let's look how we do it. Do you know whether they are coming with us? Many English learners forget to keep statement word order in the noun clauses of indirect questions or yes-no questions. They may also forget to use if or whether. For example, they may say, do you know, are they coming with us? They should say, do you know whether they are coming with us? But now that you know the correct way, you can avoid these two common mistakes. Do you know is the indirect question phrase if the game has started, or whether the game has started, it's the noun clause, and we use the statement word order. As we have said, we use also the indirect questions when we are asking for favors. They are also useful when we're asking friends or other people we know for a favor, especially when the favor requires a lot of effort. Let's listen to someone asking a favor directly. Can you please help me move on Saturday? So he's moving from one place to another, from one house to another. And he asked, can you please help me move on Saturday? Even with please in the direct question, it sounds a little too direct for such a major request. Now, listen to the same question introduced by the indirect phrases. Is there any chance? Or would it be possible? Is there any chance you can help me move on Saturday? Or would it be possible for you to help me move on Saturday? These indirect questions let the listener know that you understand that the favor is a big commitment. Okay? We said that we use indirect questions to talk or to request a favor or even a big favor. So you can also ask a big favor indirectly with a phrase. I was wondering. For example, I was wondering if you could help me move on Saturday. Notice anything different here? This example doesn't have a question mark. It isn't a question. However, we use I wonder or I was wondering in a statement. We usually are seeking information, just like a question does. Using I was wondering is a very common way to politely ask favor or seek information in English without sounding too demanding. Here's another example. Let's listen to the direct question. Did you finish the report? And the indirect one, I was wondering if you finished the report. Now, at the end of the lesson, let's together look at some example you heard today. Direct question. Where is Ramkahing Street? Indirect question. Can you tell me where is Ramkahing Street is? Again, direct question. Has the game started yet? Indirect question. Do you know if or do you know whether the game has started yet? Direct question. Are they coming with us? The indirect question. Do you know if or do you know whether they are coming with us? Direct question. Can you help me move on Saturday? The indirect question is there any chance you could help me move on Saturday? Again, the direct question, do you finish the report? And if you want to make it indirect question, I was wondering if you finished the report. Now, let's look at some of the words we used in this lesson. Coworker, it's a noun. It means someone who works with you. A favor, it's a noun too. It's a kind of helpful act that you do for someone. A phrase, it's a group of two or more words that express a single idea, but don't usually form a complete sentence. A clause, it's a part of a sentence that has its own subject and verb. Convert is a verb to change something into a different form or so that it can be used in a different way. Commitment, it's a noun. It's a promise to do or give something. Thank you for listening to the lesson today. I hope you enjoy.